Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another video review of The Bad Batch. Today, we're taking a look at Season 2, Episode 10. I was about to read the wrong one. Sorry. Episode 10, Retrieval. So I think this is going to be pretty much a quick one because I don't really have too much to say about this episode, and it's not really that positive either. This is kind of on the same level as Tribe for me, where it was really just kind of meh. It felt very, even kind of substandard, I feel like, just with how fast everything went. But I think this is still, I got done watching, I was like, I think this is, in some ways, it's definitely better than Tribe. And on the whole, I think it's a better episode than Tribe. However, it's boring as heck. So does that put it underneath Tribe? Because at least Tribe, had stuff going on and it wasn't boring. So even if it was rushed. So, I mean, that's it's a serious consideration to take to think about. So, yeah, this episode, I mean, like I said, it was just really kind of boring, and it didn't, I don't think it really added much of anything to the overall story of the Bad Batch, where some of these other episodes, like last week's episodes, I think it added something because it seems like there's a newfound understanding between Tech and Omega that is bringing them closer together as brother and sister and everything. So that added something, even if it wasn't the most action-packed episode. The action that was there was, it's like it was thrilling. It's like that stampede came. I was like, ooh, this is exciting, and all that. So that added, it made the episode entertaining to watch, even if it wasn't the most exciting, the most exciting episode ever produced, and it wasn't the most action packed. It was still entertaining to watch. This one was just find the ship, fix the ship, have a couple talks, and then fire 2 blaster bolts. Our cartoon villain of the week falls over the railing and dies Disney style, and then we're done. I mean, and I don't need action every minute, every episode to be entertained. Like I said, last week we had that nice little talk between Omega and Tech. That was very heartfelt. I really liked that. I even wanted more of it. So I don't need action to be entertained by something. But this week's was very boring and rote and predictable, and it was just I'm not like angry at this episode. I'm not just like about to, throw my keyboard into my computer screen out of rage because of how bad this episode was or anything. But I feel like I'm kind of more feeling about this episode the way that a lot of people felt about the Trace and Rafa episodes from season 7 of Clone Wars. Because I mean, this was because Trace and Rafa. I mean, there were elements to them that were kind of we'd seen before and everything, but I think their dynamics with Ahsoka were still interesting enough. Where this kid Matty or whatever his name is, which so I got that wrong, is definitely not Kanan. I definitely got that wrong. But this kid. And there was a little bit of a connection, it seemed like, going there for a moment between him and Omega, where they might have some sort of understanding and become friends. Or I guess they do by the end of the episode. But it doesn't really feel completely genuine. Because you see what's going to happen from a mile away. Because it's been done to death, where it's like, oh, he can't be trusted. He betrays them. Feels bad. Third act turnaround. He comes back and saves him because he's got a heart of gold after all. Just seen it so many times before. It's just, I guess, if anything, this is the part of Star Wars animation where it's like, yeah, this is a kid's show. This episode felt like what people think Star Wars, like all of Star Wars Rebels is. It felt on the level of Resistance to me, and that's definitely not a compliment. but at least with Resistance, like even if the episodes, were very childish, I feel like there was still an element of, oh, I want to see what happens with at least some of these characters. Where while I am invested with the batch, this this whole finding their ship that's been torn apart and repairing it, and then it's just then so of course they're gonna usurp the evil, overlord baron or whatever weird alien that they're gonna toss away at the end of the episode, which is fine. Clone Wars has a lot of Saturday morning cartoon in one week, gone the next villains and everything. So I mean, it's just been done so much before, where I just didn't really care for this one. Honestly, the biggest entertainment factor I got out of this episode was the fact that the kid is voiced by Yuri Lowenthal, who, of course, for those of you that have played the game, know that he's Spider-Man from the Insomniac-developed Marvel Spider-Man video game on PS4, and Spider-Man Miles Morales, and the upcoming Spider-Man 2 for PS5. So he started talking, I'm like, oh shoot, that's Yuri Lowenthal, that's cool. Because honestly, I don't hear him in a lot of things. Spider-Man's the first thing that I think I ever heard him in. So, for him to pop up, and then I went back and I'm like, oh wait, he's in this. Oh wait, he's in that. Oh wait, but I had never really paid, because he was more of a background. He's not a D. Bradley Baker or a Tara Strong or a Frank Welker, or one of the big names in voice acting. I mean, he was after Spider-Man, but before then he wasn't really that well known. So to hear him pop up here, I'm like, oh, it's Yuri Lowenthal. That's cool. So yeah, overall, just kind of boring episode. Honestly, it does. Like I said, it does kind of feel like it feels like what people think all of Star Wars Rebels is, and it feels like a season 1 episode of Rebels. And while I think that works for season 1 of Rebels, because it did start smaller and eventually grew to be bigger, and they left those smaller storylines behind and everything, like Clone Wars did. And it matured and everything, and I think that's great. So it's starting small was totally fine. This feels like a step back for the Bad Batch series, with how well they've done with the large scale. We're still reeling from Order 66, and the galaxy is changing, and all of that, and then dealing with the interpersonal connections of, again, last episode, of Omega being upset that Echo left, which is a really bold move for the story, because now there's only 4 members of the Bad Batch. It's Omega, Hunter, Tech, and Wrecker. Echo's gone. Crosshair is MIA right now. We don't know what he's off doing. So, and so the show had done a good enough job with all that stuff to then come and present this episode, which its idea, because, and maybe Tribe is a better episode than this, now that I'm thinking about it out loud, because Tribe's ideas weren't so stupidly rehashed. Its ideas were just squandered and rushed for time, where they could have definitely let it breathe. They could have definitely let it breathe and done that over like 2 or 3 episodes, and it would have probably been a lot cooler, a lot better, had more storytelling time. So it's especially baffling that then I think this episode's longer than Tribe. They spend more time setting up the villain here in this episode than in Tribe. And it's so stupidly predictable. It's like, this is it's such an easy, oh yeah, we've seen this villain before. He's a new character, but we've seen this type of villain before. And what happens to him? Ooh, it's like, it's of course the people he's been oppressing, rise up against him. And it's like, and they have a little moment at the end of the episode where, and this is the thing that makes it feel like it's straight out of Star Wars Rebels, where Tech and Omega are like, oh yeah, this is how the Empire does things, but you know what? There's more of us than there are of them. There's still a lot of people like us out there, and that you got that sentiment a lot in Rebels, and then of course that's echoed with there's more of us from Rise of Skywalker. So yeah, that is a big theme in the Rebellion era of going forward of Star Wars. And so I guess timeline wise, this is like the earliest moment of it, of going. It's like, yeah, it's going to take all the little good people in the galaxy to really make change and overthrowing one tiny little despot dictator at a time. So I mean, yeah, okay, you maybe you kind of paid credence to some of the values of Star Wars as a whole, okay, but the, the rest of the episode is just so boring. I just, and again, 2 blaster shots were fired, and that's it. It's like, they shot the 2 droids. That was whatever. I liked Hunter catching Omega, and of course Hunter's little free fall down the exhaust shaft. That was cool. So I mean, it's not totally worthless as an episode. There's cool stuff in it, but overall, it's like, meh. This was, it was just boring. It was just boring. I didn't care for it. Which is I think the first time I've really not actually cared for an episode of The Bad Batch overall. I mean, I have my issues with Tribe, but I still liked it. It's more just the wasted potential that I don't like. It's like, I mean, yeah, this is fine, but I wish you could have done more with these ideas. Where here, I'm just like, okay, whatever. I'm ready to move on here. So yeah, so Sid, again, absent from this episode. It seems like they've kind of been building her up this season. So I really, now that they've got the ship back, they've got the Marauder back, they've got Gonky back. Wrecker has Lula back. I think that's the name of the doll. So that's good. I really hope that, like, the beginning of the next episode, they go back to Ord Mantell. And I feel like if they go straight back to Ord Mantell, one of 2 things is happening. And the next episode's called Metamorphosis, by the way. So there's some sort of change happening next episode. What kind of change, I don't know. But who, you know what? Watch. I'm saying, here's what needs to happen in the beginning of the next episode. Blah blah blah. Here's what's going to happen next episode. Next episode's not going to have the Bad Batch in it at all, and it's going to be Crosshair again because it's been a minute, and it's going to be Crosshair finally deciding to ditch the Empire, and he's going to find. And he's going to find Cody and Rex and Echo on the run and join up with them. They're going to be like the new Bad Batch or whatever. And then, like, the end of the season, it's going to be the combining of the 2 Bad Batches or something. Maybe I've just cracked the case, solved the riddle or whatever. But that would be really funny. But so if that happens next episode, then fine. But whatever happens when we do, whichever episode is next, where we reconnect with the main Bad Batch, I feel like one of 2 things needs to happen at the beginning of the episode. Is they get back to Ord Mantell, and either they tell off Sid for leaving them in the lurch and going, "What the heck, lady? You totally abandoned us." And then she feeds them some excuse about, I thought you could take care of yourselves, blah, 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 blah. I had other business to worry about. And she doesn't really care about them at all. Or, I think, and this is probably going to be the more likely dramatic thing, because based on everything in the episode she's been in so far, I don't think Sid doesn't care about the Bad Batch. I think she has grown to appreciate them, and they have been loyal to her so far, and I think she really does appreciate that. And calling back to, like, the episode where she loses the bar and everything that a lot of people called filler, I think that's going to be one of those things that they use as setup. So it's like, see how loyal we've been to you. And she's like, no, I understand that. And that's why I'm trying to be loyal to you here. Because I think what's going to happen, another possibility is the Empire comes to town. And, open comm channel, she can't really talk to them long. And because it's like, the Imperials sniffing around. And so her not coming to get them is like, she knows they're survivalists. She knows they can take care of themselves. So kind of like leaving them on that planet in that moment is actually for the, is the best for them, because she's trying to actually keep them safe. Because, and then, like, the first episode of this season, she even mentions that, have you seen what's happening out there? This is why I want you to do this big score, so you can get out from underneath my roof and you're not indebted to me, so you can go live your own lives. Because this little operation we have going right here isn't going to last forever. Eventually, the Empire is going to show up. So I do kind of think and wonder if maybe the Empire is going to come knocking here pretty quickly on Ord Mantell and start to, assert control. And then that's going to be, like, the thing that makes or breaks their relationship with Sid. So whether or not they devote enough time to really develop that in the episode, who knows? Because I am going to I am going to flip tables. Well, I'm not going to flip tables, but I will be annoyed if like we get another rushed episode with really cool ideas and a really cool story, and that's not very long, and they kind of rush to the conclusion of this plot point and story arc, and I look back and go, okay, so what was the point of Retrieval? You had like a 35-minute episode that you could have scrapped or boiled down or made a B plot of another episode and focused more on this, but instead you gave us that. So it's like the one episode I think is bad in Clone Wars, which is A Sunny Day in the Void from the D Squad arc in season 5. It's like that episode I think has no redeeming qualities, which is ironic because it's George Lucas's favorite episode of the show that they worked on under his tutelage for the first 5 seasons. Oh boy. So but I don't like that episode at all. I don't really think it offers that much. It's just a weird 22 minutes, and they could have crashed at the beginning of missing in action and then immediately found the town, and then they could have found Gregor, and it's like just change the first 5 minutes or whatever, and then you just go on your merry way. We didn't need A Sunny Day in the Void. So if they rush through something here, and then I'm going to be going, then so you gave us Retrieval and short shrifted us on this episode. So yeah, but so I guess we'll find out. This doesn't the show. Oh, the show's ruined. I'm not like that. I just didn't like this episode, and honestly, in a lot of ways, I'm kind of glad I didn't like this episode, because sometimes I think to myself, do I just love Star Wars too much that I can't see any faults in it, and I just love everything, because even stuff that people like to tear apart, like certain episodes of early Clone Wars or Rebels or the Battlefront 2 campaign or the prequels, it's like all these different the sequels. I've got my own problems with the sequels. I've said that 1,000 times, but I still think they're fine. I like them enough. Where other people like despise large swaths of Star Wars. So it's like sometimes I do think to myself, it's like, do I just love it too much that I can't see the issues? It's like, no, I can be pretty objective about Star Wars when it comes down to it, to where I can see the problems, and maybe that doesn't always ruin my enjoyment of something, but in this case, with this particular episode of The Bad Batch, it's like, yeah, this wasn't great, unfortunately. This one was just kind of boring. So I don't know, maybe they had a good idea for this, and it just got boiled, it just got watered down at some point in the writer's room. I don't know. So but I do think that this isn't going to be a filler episode. It is going to build up to something, because at the very end of the episode, he says, well, if you ever need a thief, you know who to call. I'm like, oh, that is such obvious. That is such obvious setup. I'm really curious now who wrote this episode and what other episodes they've written. Hold on. Let me actually do a search of this. See, this is, ironically, I'm going to talk longer about this episode than I did the one last week. Okay, so that took me a minute, but I have found the writer of this episode. Let's just live as I'm right here. Let's see what he's written previously. Okay, so this guy's name is he's Mexican American, so I don't actually know how to say this guy's name. It's like Moisés Zamora. All right, let's see what episodes of or if has he done movies? I don't know. It's like, okay, so he's got some director credits from way back in the day. It's probably like college shorts or something. A couple of producer credits. Okay. Okay. Looks like he's only written on 4 shows. Oh, that's interesting. One of them, one episode of American Crime from 2017. It's not taking me to that episode, so I can't. Like, it would be nice if it would take me to like the very specific episode he wrote, so I could find. It's like, is it notable? Did people like it? I don't know. I've never even heard of this show. Another TV show. He wrote 18 episodes. Oh wow, okay, 18 episodes of a TV show called Star. It was on Fox. Oh, that bodes well. Again, I have no idea what this show's even about. Oh, here we go. A trio of women form a musical group in Atlanta. Got it. Okay. Looks like the most top rated episodes, which I don't think he's written, only have a 7.8 on IMDb. I mean, that's pretty high. That's not bad. Let's see here. 18 episodes of a show called Selena, the series. Oh, it looks like he created it. Okay. Oh, it's based on the singers. Oh, it's from Netflix. Okay. Family makes life-changing choices on the singer's journey to success. So it's, well, I mean, if it's based on the actual singer, then I mean, it's just you just follow her life. So I mean, it kind of writes itself now, doesn't it? And then his only other writing credit, other than all these other things, is this one episode of The Bad Batch. This is the only episode of The Bad Batch he's written. So it's not like he's written other episodes. So it's like, I guess they asked him to be on. It's like, hey, do you want to write an episode of The Bad Batch? And he's like, Star Wars? Sure. And then this is what he gave us. Yeah, okay. I mean, I guess that's fine. I guess that's fine. I mean, it's like, throw someone a bone every now and then. It's like, okay. Because there's a lot of good writers on this show with a lot of good other good episodes and stuff. So it's like, this is just one of those. Yeah, they just didn't do. The guest writer on this one just didn't do too well. Because, like, the Clone Conspiracy, Jennifer Corbett, I think she's done several Star Wars things. Yeah, she's like produced several episodes of Bad Batch. Oh, she wrote on Star Wars. 3 episodes of Star Wars Resistance. Probably the better ones, if I had to guess. So it's like, yeah, so that's a pretty good writer. Let's look at season 1 and some of the writers they had. So this has gone from a review of of the episode to I'm just looking at all the people that have written. Okay, so that Jennifer Corbett lady wrote the first episode, which is a pretty strong episode. So it looks like she's probably behind a lot of the. She wrote Cut and Run. Replacements. She's written lots and lots of episodes of the show. So it seems like she's kind of the main writer. It looks like, because Dave Filoni's credited on all these, but he's the created by. So of course he has a big say in it. But so it looks like Dave is like the person kind of guiding the team, and then she's maybe like the lead writer for the show, at least in the first season. Yeah, Common Ground. Oh no, wait. Okay, never mind. She's on all these because it's the IMDb. She's on all these because she's one of the executive producers. So let me So that's probably not who actually wrote. Well, maybe she did. Okay, so gonna go back and retread a bunch of stuff I just said. Sorry. First episode of The Bad Batch, written by both Jennifer Corbett and Dave Filoni. So it's just a stupid extra click I gotta take. Then Cut and Run, the second episode of Cut LaQuaine, but Jennifer Corbett's still there, and Garishman Sandhu, hope I said that right. Good episode. Replacements, Crosshair being a bad boy. written by Matt Michinovitz. Oh boy, they've got a lot of interesting people with interesting names on writing for this show. Cornered, written by Christian Taylor. I almost said Christina. No, it's Christian Taylor. So that's when animated Ming-Na Wen shows up. Finnick Shand. Let's see here. Find decommissioned again. This is written by Amanda Rose Munoz. I think that's maybe me saying that correctly. I don't really know Spanish that well. So it's like, yeah, so they've got a lot of different... Okay, here we go. Here's a Devil's Deal, because this is when Hera shows up. Tamara... It's either Beecher or Becker, written by... So it's like, yeah, so they have a lot of varied good writers on the show, which I think I've made my point on that by now. They've got a lot of, and it's cool that they, it's good that they can have some different writers on the show to inject their own feel into it, but it's still, it feels cohesive as a full narrative. It just didn't work out in this one particular instance with this episode. So yeah, eager to see what happens next week, as always. Continue the season and everything. And yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on this. So I'll be back next week with another review, hopefully, on time this time. Sorry that this is a day late. I had life things that got in the way that prevented me from getting this done on time, even over the weekend and stuff. So I couldn't have it pre-prepped or whatever. So hopefully next week this will be on time alongside the review of the first episode of Season 3 of The Mandalorian. Hooray, hooray, hooray. Very excited for that. So I will see you guys then. So thank you for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that great stuff. Remember to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Those links are in the description below, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.